how 23 soldiers fooled an entire Nazi army.
Yet in the frozen forests of Belgium, at dawn on 16 December 1944, that is exactly what happened.
For weeks, the Ardennes had remained quiet, buried under snow and silence, giving the illusion that the war had moved elsewhere. Lieutenant Lyle J. Buck Jr.'s INR platoon, reinforced by 4 artillery forward observers, dug in for what no one could have imagined. Around them, the Ardennes lay silent beneath fresh snow, giving every soldier the illusion that the war had moved elsewhere.
The American soldiers stationed here had been told this was a quiet sector, a place to learn war, not survive it.
Many of these young men were barely out of their teens, inexperienced, exhausted, and still learning what real combat truly meant.
Just miles away, thousands of German troops prepared in silence, ready to unleash one of the war's largest surprise offensives.
This offensive would soon be remembered worldwide as the Battle of the Bulge, Germany's last desperate gamble in the West.
Directly in the path of this massive assault stood just 22 determined American soldiers, holding an exposed defensive ridge.
They were armed mostly with rifles, carbines, and only a few automatic weapons to defend the ridge. A few Browning automatic rifles and machine guns provided their only real firepower against overwhelming enemy numbers. They faced elements of elite German paratroopers advancing through frozen terrain toward the American defensive lines.
Behind them followed armored spearheads, prepared to break through the Ardennes and drive deep into Allied territory.
Thousands of troops and hundreds of armored vehicles waited for the signal to launch Hitler's final Western offensive.
The American defenders had no knowledge that their isolated ridge sat directly in the path of this massive assault.
They believed they were simply guarding a quiet border road in a secondary sector of the front.
Below them lay a small Belgian village that would soon witness one of the war's most extraordinary small-unit battles.
They waited in freezing silence, unaware that history would soon record their stand as one of the war's greatest defensive actions. Within hours, these 22 soldiers would face overwhelming enemy numbers and unknowingly change the course of the Ardennes offensive. German assault elements advanced cautiously through the frozen forest, unaware they were moving directly into prepared American defensive positions. Hidden beneath snow and pine branches, Buch's platoon waited, allowing the enemy to approach dangerously close before revealing their presence.
As German troops crossed the open clearing below the ridge, they unknowingly entered a perfectly positioned defensive ambush.
Lieutenant Buch restrained his men, allowing the German formation to fully expose itself before giving the signal to fire. Every soldier understood the importance of timing, knowing their limited numbers demanded precise and devastating firepower. Confident in their numerical superiority, German troops continued forward, unaware they were walking into one of the most disciplined defensive stands of the war. American riflemen locked their sights onto advancing targets, waiting for the single command that would unleash the ambush. Thick snowfall began to reduce visibility, further complicating German movement while strengthening American concealment.
As German troops reached optimal range, Buch recognized the precise moment that would determine the survival of his platoon.
With a single command, the quiet ridge erupted as American defenders unleashed a coordinated and devastating opening volley. The surprise ambush shattered the advancing German formation, forcing soldiers to scramble for cover across the exposed clearing. American automatic weapons delivered precise and disciplined fire, pinning German troops against the frozen terrain.
Despite their numbers, German assault troops struggled to reorganize under the unexpected intensity of American resistance.
Boak maintained steady command, coordinating defensive fire while artillery observers prepared support requests.
German commanders quickly attempted flanking maneuvers, determined to overwhelm the isolated American defenders. Working as a coordinated unit, American soldiers reinforced weak points, maintaining a continuous defensive barrier across the ridge. A worsening snowstorm limited visibility, turning the battlefield into a frozen maze of uncertainty and danger. Undeterred by losses, German assault forces launched another determined push toward the American defensive ridge. Outnumbered and exhausted, American defenders continued fighting, understanding the strategic importance of holding their position.
Against overwhelming odds, the small American platoon successfully halted the initial German advance, delaying a major offensive operation.
German commanders quickly realized that unexpected resistance from a small American unit was disrupting their carefully planned offensive schedule.
Additional German troops were rushed forward, hoping superior numbers could finally break the American defensive line.
Knowing they were heavily outnumbered, American defenders carefully rationed ammunition and strengthened their final defensive positions.
Attempts to contact Allied headquarters became increasingly difficult as weather and combat interference disrupted radio communications.
Determined to break through, German assault units launched another major coordinated attack against the isolated American defenders. With remarkable coordination, the American platoon delivered sustained defensive fire, slowing the enemy assault once again.
Facing continued resistance and mounting losses, German forces were temporarily forced to regroup and reassess their assault strategy.
Though exhausted and low on supplies, American defenders remained alert, uncertain whether another attack would follow. The determined stand of a small reconnaissance platoon had significantly delayed one of Germany's most ambitious offensive operations. In the frozen Ardennes forest, courage and discipline transformed a small defensive stand into a lasting symbol of battlefield resistance. As snowfall covered the battlefield, the violence of the morning slowly faded into frozen silence across the Ardennes hills. The American platoon cautiously emerged from their defensive positions, aware that survival itself was an extraordinary achievement.
Lieutenant Buch and his men had held their ground against overwhelming odds, unaware of how significant their stand would become.
The unexpected resistance caused critical delays, disrupting the precise timetable of Germany's final western offensive.
The delay forced German commanders to alter their assault routes, reducing the momentum of their surprise attack.
The platoon's resistance bought valuable time, allowing Allied reinforcements to organize defensive operations across the region.
Many soldiers were wounded, yet their survival told a story of endurance rarely matched on the battlefield.
History would later recognize their stand as one of the most remarkable small unit defenses of the Second War.
The frozen ridge at Lanzerath became a lasting reminder of courage, discipline, and sacrifice during one of the war's darkest winters. In the silent forests of the Ardennes, a small group of soldiers proved that determination and unity could shape the course of history. Following the battle, surviving members of the platoon were captured and forced into long, freezing marches toward German prison camps. They were transported in overcrowded rail cars, facing hunger, cold, and uncertainty about their fate.
The men would spend the remainder of the war as prisoners, struggling daily against harsh living conditions.
Despite captivity, the platoon members supported one another, maintaining discipline and morale through the brutal winter months.
The delay at Lanzerath contributed directly to the slowing momentum of Germany's final western offensive.
Fuel shortages, terrain obstacles, and unexpected resistance steadily weakened the German advance. Allied forces used the time gained to reinforce defensive lines and prepare coordinated counterattacks.
The Battle of the Bulge would continue for weeks, becoming one of the largest and bloodiest battles fought by American forces in Europe.
As the front lines shifted, the frozen ridge at Lanzerath gradually returned to silence.
Today, a memorial stands near Lanzerath, honoring the soldiers whose courage delayed an entire German offensive.
Many of the young soldiers who defended Lanzerath Ridge had arrived in Europe only weeks before the battle began.
Like thousands of others, they carried letters, photographs, and memories of home into the uncertainty of war. Their coordination and disciplined fire created the illusion of a much larger defensive force.
German forces believed they were facing a fortified American battalion, slowing their advance and forcing repeated attacks.
The delay allowed American commanders to reposition forces and reinforce vulnerable sectors of the Ardennes front.
Allied artillery and reinforcements gradually pushed back the German offensive across the frozen battlefield.
Those who survived captivity eventually returned home, carrying memories of a battle few outside military circles fully understood.
Decades later, the bravery of the platoon was officially recognized, with one of the highest honors awarded to military units.
The Presidential Unit Citation honored their extraordinary courage, discipline, and sacrifice during overwhelming combat conditions. Today, the quiet ridge stands as a reminder that courage from a small group of soldiers can influence the course of history.
Memorials at Lanzerath preserve the memory of those 22 Americans who held the line against overwhelming odds.
Each soldier had a story of courage, sacrifice, and resilience that would be remembered decades later.
Nature reclaimed the battlefield, leaving only the memory of courage embedded in the ridge.
Every movement, every position was calculated to maximize their effectiveness against a much larger enemy force.
Precision and readiness were vital. Each shot could change the outcome of the day. Even in the harshest conditions, camaraderie and care for one another defined their fight.
The ridge fell silent, yet the impact of a small group's bravery echoed far beyond the battlefield.
Visitors today can walk the same ridge, connecting with the legacy of courage displayed on that winter day.
Though the battle has long ended, its history remains etched in the land and the memory of those who served.
The story of the 22 soldiers at Lanzareth Ridge remains a testament to courage, determination,